Good afternoon, everyone. Today I'm removing the valve cover on this brand new S13. Just got a little issue with the engine brake. I'm going to check the solenoids out, but removal of the valve cover is fairly simple, which is really nice. What I've been noticing about these engines is just the ease of working on them of component removal. But anyways, we're going to start with removing this air box, which will entail removing those two bolts there, those two on the other end, removing the other side, and we'll get to that hose as well as a couple other components. First thing we're doing is releasing this filter minder sensor. Pull that out, and while we're up here, got a 3/8 inch socket. Just going to loosen this clamp off. I got myself a 13 mil wobble with a 12-inch extension, 3/8 drive. I'm going to remove these 4 on this side and then the 4 on the other side. This last one here, I like to feed it through this section and then put my gun on it. Try not to drop the bolts. I'm in a safe spot. And the same thing on the passenger side here. Grab that bolt. I'm going to remove that one spring clamp, use some cast paw pliers. Then we'll grab a rad pick tool just to free up the rubber. The same hose pick tool to free up the rubber from our intake box as well. Should be good. Back on the driver's side, the last of the pieces that have to come off before we could remove this air box is that P-clamp right there, which I like to just use 10 mil wrench and ratchet wrench and just remove that. Ready to pull the airbox off. Just got to separate it from the elbow going to the turbo and slide it forward and out, because these brackets kind of sit in there as a U. We're going to remove our NOx inlet sensor. These are T25 Torx. No need to disconnect it. We're just going to remove the bolts for the module and let it slip on the side. And also, these little rubber bushings here will stick to here, but they won't come off if they're moved. So I like to just remove them anyway to prevent them from falling off, falling down, and then you don't have them anymore. So lay that aside, and I will take these and just thread these screws back in here. You won't wreck anything. They're not going to be in the way, not going to get broken off, but just to prevent from losing the screws and these little bushings. Cut our 4 zip ties, making sure you don't cut the actual NOx sensor insulation. Then we're going to unbolt this little coolant manifold doohickey thing from the valve cover. Don't need to disconnect any lines, just going to unbolt it so the valve cover could slip up and down. We're going to be using our 12-inch extension with a 13 mil wobble again to remove these 3 bolts here. 1, 2, 3, as well as that one back there. 3 long ones go in the manifold, and the 1 short one goes on the P-clamp. And put them also in a safe place. now we're ready to unbolt the valve cover. They use inverted Torx. These are E12. Got this little set right here, max set. That's the part number. That's a socket. So we're gonna remove all the bolts for the valve cover, and then the valve cover will just come right off. Got a 3-inch extension here I'm gonna use to remove all the ones I could get with my gun. And then for the ones back there, I'm gonna use an electric ratchet. There's a total of 22 bolts you gotta remove. Make sure you don't drop them. I dropped one. Thankfully it hit the floor. Then all you have to do is just pull your valve cover up. Now, and that is how you remove a valve cover on an International S13.